Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and if I'm not looking at the camera, is because on this platform, when I start, I have to trigger um, the appearance of this podcast on other platforms. A little bit inefficient because it looks like I'm not paying attention. I am trained in all the psychic skills. I was part of still attached to a secret program, never compensated, uh, having to do with mind control, mind expansion, superpowers, super abilities. Supposedly, because I was used as a demo in the 60s, showing how much my intelligence had augmented from being in the program, they neglected to tell the president that a lot of that had to do with trauma and rape and torture. But my psychic abilities and my intelligence had augmented dramatically. You will find that most people throughout history that have been known to be incredible psychics had a blow to the head or had extreme abuse when they were a child. Blow to the head, electrical accident, or abuse when they were a child. But anyway, so I was trained in remote viewing, pretty good at it. And I was trained in interspecies communication. This makes me crazy. I've been telling people for 30 years that I was trained in interspecies communication. Not one single person has said to me, "What does that mean? Your pet psychic?" Nothing. Zero. And that is typical of everything that has to do with off planet beings and aliens. Is that because you guys are dumb? No, it's not. It's because aliens, spirits, the devil know how to play in your mind and they know how to kind of put you to sleep. But now we need to wake up. But we have really good news today. I was at my desk and all of a sudden I went, wow, I could see that an incredibly large, I'm looking to put up the graphic, which is why I'm not looking at you. And I apologize. I obviously should have done it um, prior, and I didn't. But here it is now. I saw a huge spaceship on top of the entire country. It was in the shape of what you call the Star of David, which is a symbol that's 6,000 years old. Judaism, I think, is only 2,000 years old. They use this symbol in Judaism to represent completion, centeredness. When your physical life is evolved and aligned with your spiritual life, with the center being the heart chakra. The center of the United States is Kansas. There was some black magic there 280 years ago from mistreatment of the indigenous Indians, but that got removed. So today at 11, something happened on the planet that shifted the frequency in the United States, and probably somebody will find that information and give it to me at some point in the next several days. I looked up very quickly, but I wasn't really able to pinpoint what it was that happened. But what does this mean? This spaceship, and we're going to go, this is so interesting because remember, I can't just give you a piece of information. I would like to prove to you, I would like for you to understand what I'm giving you. So let me put up the next graphic. This is the human assemblage of bodies. All the way on the left is your physical, and then you got the other bodies, and then you got all the way on the right, the Merkaba, which is a galactic vehicle. It's a human spaceship. We all have the ability, these are all envelopes of consciousness. Our consciousness gets poured into them. We all have the ability to have a galactic Merkaba. All of the envelopes of consciousness are in different dimensions, and they are there for you, your consciousness. You are your consciousness, you're not your bodies, to use in the different dimensions. And that body, in the shape of the Star of David, is for galactic travel. So let's say the planet is going to explode. People that have achieved this centeredness, their Merkaba, their chariot, you can look it up, it's all over the internet, gets activated and they can escape from whatever it is that's going on. It's a spaceship. And we all have the ability to turn into a spaceship. So let me get to a cute part of this story. One of my favorite people, Elon Musk. Months ago, we saw spaceships on top of the pyramids in Egypt. And I said, oh, let's do it in a chat. Let's go ahead and go into the spaceships and see what we can see, what they can tell us. And we did that. And I have I have thousands of people that follow me at this point, but there's hundreds of them that are really, really good. I have the power of induction. If you spend time with me, your psychic abilities augment. I wasn't the one who declared that. It was the scientists in the military that said that since I was a child. If you're in my presence, if you spend a lot of time with me, your psychic abilities are going to augment. But anyway, we went into the spaceship over Egypt. And I was chatting, interspecies communication. It's really easy. It's telepathy. It's in the mind. It's nothing. It's easy if you can get out of your own way. Okay. I believe I'm told, and I've read that the kids that were like me, that were trained, that we were called space babies. Nobody says, well, what were they going to do with you? You mean, what were they doing with us? Okay. So I go into the spaceship. So do several others, if not dozens of other people in the chat that night. And I am communicating with one of the aliens there. And he said to me, you see this spaceship? Yeah. This is an extension of our mind. And I went, wow. And he said, it's just like Elon Musk's Neuralink. That's what Elon is looking to achieve. And I went, wow. And in that moment, all my reservations about the Neuralink and what Elon Musk is doing completely folded, ended, not going to worry about that anymore, even though I know a lot of people are concerned. Oh my God, they'll control our minds. No, you're supposed to control your mind and you're not doing it. You're reacting to everything. You don't know how to create. When you learn how to create, or you understand that everything is an extension of your mind, even if you don't know how to do a spaceship or activate because you created your own spaceship that's called a Merkaba throughout history, we all have that ability. And these aliens can teach us to do it at a much higher level and much more extensive. So that was very exciting. Okay, back to this morning at 11. So I'm doing whatever at my desk, and all of a sudden I went, oh my God, the Galactic Federation has apparently determined that the frequency of the United States is high enough that they can help us out. Because for them to send a spaceship that's the size of the country means, we could say, if we want to be dramatic, that we're worth saving. It has to do with frequency, that we have a frequency that it's worth investing in. It's like you meet people and you go, you have limited resources or whatever, and you go, you know what, it's not worth investing in that particular family, that person, that company, because I don't think it's going to make it. They're not doing their part. We learned this with Venezuela. I'll tell you about that in a minute, because very interesting, the Venezuela experience having to do with the other dimensions and the Galactic Federation. So the Galactic Federation determined that the United States had reached a frequency. Something happened right before 11 a.m. this morning, Eastern Standard Time. And they sent a spaceship to stabilize the country. The only thing worrisome about that is that apparently what's going on in California, maybe that type of thing is going to be happening more and more. So we absolutely need all the protection and stabilization that we can get. So it didn't make my day. This has made my year. But let me tell you, in terms of what we have found out about what we found and discovered and worked with Venezuela. Venezuela, we were told in 2018 that we should pay attention and work in the other dimensions with Venezuela because the path that Venezuela would be on would be a path that the rest of the planet would follow. At that point, Venezuela had a portal the size smaller than Texas, but huge in the south of Venezuela where there was mining going on. There was for 100 years, I have no idea. I'm really bad with time. Don't ever quote me on time or numbers. Too many blows to the right side of the head. Okay. So we went ahead and we were able to clear. What was the issue? Why did that portal open up? It's a portal to the underworld. It's a portal to hell. It changes the vibration of the whole country and the whole region. There were mines there and still are mines there. And the companies would bring people in to work them. And at some point, or maybe always, don't know, not important detail, they would kill off everyone that could not work in the mines: children, women, old people, men that were injured. If you could not work in the mines, they were not willing to have to feed you. That created a level, a reaction, or an emotional reaction of rage, which is what happens when you repress emotions of rage, and it opened a portal, and that portal was to hell. So anyway, we worked with it. We were able to close it, and we continued. And we were working also with the dolphins, and they said, basically, they said, we're going to make it worth your while to work with Venezuela. And I'm like, okay. They said, we're going to work with you and give you superpowers. And I was like, come on. I'm not telling my followers that. This is 2018. But I always say what I get, whether it's good news, bad news, whether I understand it, I don't understand it. That's my training. This is what I got. Don't beat me. This is what I got. And so I read everybody what the dolphins had told me, and I'm sure they didn't believe me either, but we continued to work. And basically, we got the superpowers. We're able to clear things in entire countries. But what's the little secret? One of the little secrets in the other dimensions, there is no measurements. A building this size, you can work with it the same as you can work with a building the size of the Empire State Building. Now that's a big deal because you look at the Empire State Building and go, there's no way I'm purifying this. But if it's this size, it's not that big a deal. But that's the way it is in the other dimensions. That is not the way it is for me and the Mantrista movement. It is the law in the other dimensions. That's the reality. And you know that. And supposedly it's a superpower to be able to make things small and bigger. Okay, it's a superpower. We got that superpower. So we worked, and then the whole election thing came up, and went back to working with Venezuela. We'd drop it for several months. We would go back, and then we would get together systematically, routinely, with the mantra, please God help us with our intention, that it was after the elections, whatever, that it be graceful. And then when they won, the new government that's not military, which of course means I love it, we changed the mantra to, because the election was in August and the transition was last week, January. We changed the mantra to, please God help us with our intention that the transition be miraculously graceful. And we were very happy. Everything looked really good. And we were able, and I don't have any of those maps here because we're working on them to get them up on my website so that you can look at all of them. I saw, and I sketched it, the same thing I saw over the United States today, a huge spaceship from the Galactic Federation covering Venezuela. Okay. So then the transition inauguration was, I think, last week, and the dictator did not let go of power. Now, I'm told that his face looked like death warmed over. His astrological information for this week, which I did not know what his sign was, but his astrological information for this week was wherever he was, the people from that sign, which is Sagittarius, they don't want to be there. They're collapsing. They're being held up by other people, and it's the people around them that are holding them in place because they do not want to be where they are. This is Sagittarius. This is astrology. And everything the planet sends is an influence. It's not a death sentence, and it's not a done reality. But we had somebody leaving who looked, I am told, like death warmed over. His astrological influences were saying this person doesn't want to be there, but it's the people around him. And as I think a week went by, and I could have minor details incorrect because I'm doing too much and I don't have enough help, and I'm running scared because I'm saying stuff that I'm not allowed to say. So anyway, so then all of a sudden, the spaceship that was over Venezuela from the Galactic Federation that was supporting Venezuela, it disappeared. It went up and it disappeared. And when I checked, the issue was that the vibration frequency of Venezuela had shifted down, not because the dictator had not left gracefully, but because the people of Venezuela were repressing their rage at the fact that he had not left gracefully. And I went, okay, being it that, as I told everybody, and they don't have that expression in Spanish, but I think they have it now. The fat lady hasn't sung yet. Okay. The other dimensions are not supporting, there not being a graceful transition. And things were very quiet and graceful. There was no rioting, and there was no other countries saying they were going to intervene, whatever. So I said, let's work on the rage that everybody's feeling. Yeah. I said, no, we don't talk politics here. I work on causal. I was trained to be efficient and effective in what I do. And if I do what everybody else does, we're going to continue business as usual, which is not good. I said, this works for people. Let's do it for the country. And we ended up doing a mantra because the dictator today is the father of the country, right? Yes, everybody said, yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to do a mantra, even though we hate the father, we love and accept ourselves. And within minutes, the Galactic Federation sent the spaceship again over Venezuela. Why? It's a protection. I mean, I think I said that, but maybe I didn't. Because the vibration of Venezuela was down when they had the portal, and then we closed it. And then they had a graceful elections, and then there was supposed to be a graceful transition, and things were smooth, but it wasn't graceful because the guy didn't leave. Okay, but that's not what changed the vibration of the country. What changed the vibration of the country was repressed rage. So we worked on the repressed rage. The spaceship came in again, and it was fantastic. That was last night. So this is fine. This is great. And I explained to everybody. And then we got into a conversation amongst several hundred people how Venezuelans have angelic consciousness. I think Trump is angelic. And Elon is dolphin. I'm dolphin consciousness. And angelics do not like to deal with hatred and anger. So they usually don't. Trump does. This is really good. In Venezuela, they're very educated, well-mannered. They're sweet. They're nice. They do not say anything that is negative. Okay, but they're human beings. After all this time, 25 years of a dictatorship, they finally win legitimately, and then the guy won't leave. Of course, they're angry, but they didn't process their anger. And it congested the country, lowered the vibration, which is what happens when you get sick. You're lowering your vibration in that area of your body. So we did the mantra and then changed. Spaceship came back. And then we started to discuss. And I said, listen, you guys are angelic, because most of the people on the chat at that point were Venezuelan, but it doesn't matter because it's something everybody needs to know. You don't deal with your negative emotions, and you have to. Look what just happened. It was really good. Okay. And today, 11 o'clock in the morning, I go, oh my God, we have from the Galactic Federation a spaceship the size of the United States at 11, which means that before 11, we didn't have the vibration that would have guaranteed that level of protection. And now I'm going to use a word that I haven't used before, partnering. What does that mean? I have no idea. I flow with the information I get, and if I take too long to figure it out, you're going to get bored and click off. So, partnership. We are in a good place in the United States. We're in a really good place, and we have a president who does express his emotions, which a lot of people don't like. Oh my God, he's so rude and he's so angry. Do you know that most people that I asked in the previous election, not this last one, why they didn't like Trump? They didn't like his personality. I said, yeah, but he's really effective. And they said, that's true. But I don't like his personality. He's kind of like, he's like rude and he's real. And being real is a continuation of the statement, and the truth shall set you free. And we proved it yesterday in Venezuela. Now, the future is elastic and plastic. Things can change from one minute to the next. In terms of Venezuela, it's the little group around the gentlemen that are the issue. But it feels like that's going to resolve, and it's going to resolve gracefully, which is what we were looking for. It would have been nice for me if the guy had just simply left gracefully the exact day he needed to leave. That didn't happen. But that doesn't mean we stop working, and that doesn't mean that what we're doing is not working. So, what does this mean for the United States? I think it means that all those hearings that they're having, the congressional hearings, which are really interesting, they're important. But Trump, if you do not get up to par having to do with the aliens and spaceships and galactic relationships, this partnering that it's not that it's being offered, it's there. I don't know what the next word would be. You're not going to have enough people to deal with this, to take care of this effectively. Now, there are people already around that do this. You haven't been privy to that. And the excuse, because I used to complain a lot to my control, why aren't we giving this information to the public? And he would say, they don't want to worry their pretty little heads about it. They want to sit in front of their TV and click on and click off and go to work and then have their weekends, and they're not interested in this stuff. You know what? Okay, fine. That was his opinion. And maybe he was right, because it really isn't the public, it's the spirits that the public is not dealing with and the government's not dealing with. Now, guess what? Aliens are spirits. Oh, you don't believe in spirits unless it's a priest that is talking to you about the devil being behind some influence, or they don't ask you to call in Archangel Michael because he has a flaming sword. And you believe it that minute because you're talking religion, but you don't really believe it. And if somebody said, who is it that you want to be with you if there's a crisis? You would say, well, I would like somebody that's very grounded and very landed and has a lot of power. And it would be nice if they have a bank account too, so that if anything gets iffy, we can buy whatever we need to. What about the other dimensions? What about your SWAT team in the other dimensions? You don't really believe in them enough. You don't. Our group has a SWAT team. I'll show you the graphic because we're kind of proud of it. And everybody uses. And we don't have the latest, okay? We have now Horus as a member. We have dolphins. Jesus Christ shows up a lot. We have 2 or 3 virgins, not just the Guadalupe. The point of the matter is that if you do not get multidimensional, and if this country does not start to educate at the rate at which people can take it, no, it has to be faster than as people can take it, because there is no time anymore. We're dealing with planet Earth as if the apocalypse has to do with simply natural disasters. Actually, inaccurate. The apocalypse has to do with spirits, underground spirits. There was something on X, and I've seen it several times. Somebody took a video, and the ground underneath their feet was moving. There are beings underneath the ground. There's entire civilizations. People, they can't wrap their head around it. You know what? Get with the program. Do a mantra of being afraid of this information, being afraid of the other dimensions. Do a mantra. But it's really up to, in my opinion, the people that are supposed to be taking care of us, this new government that's coming in. You need to get up to speed, but that getting up to speed cannot be like it was behind the scenes with little kids that they called space babies, people like me. This needs to be bigger, systematic. It needs to include the public, and we need to do a mantra at our rage at the officials not letting us know, at the governments hiding the information. In other countries, they haven't hidden the information, but I don't think they've attended to the issue of aliens and spaceships and galactic invasions and galactic wars like Star Wars. I don't think they've dealt with them very well. The country that's the most equipped is Peru. I found it very interesting that we sent somebody from, I think it was NASA there about a month ago. So they're probably doing more than I'm aware of. But darn, a lot more people need to be aware. So, what's the good news? Because it's really good news. The United States has achieved a vibration where we earn the right to have the Galactic Federation send a spaceship the size of the country on top of the United States to protect us. And what was the other word? The word was not negotiating, partnering. Was that the word? I think that was the word, partnering. There are opportunities here, okay, that I'm not sure we're ready for. The hearings, the congressional hearings, all that arguing. If there's an invasion, an off planet invasion, none of that will have helped. And I am shocked and proud of how quickly Trump has gotten to work and is promising to continue to work at that rate, because we are running very behind. But the good news now, what's the Galactic Federation? It's beings, aliens, which means spirits, that have a federation, like a society, and they oversee things that are happening in the galaxy. That does not mean that they have an exclusive on power. I'm really, honestly, not really sure all of what it means. I've dealt with them before. Okay. And I've also dealt with what they call the Great White Brotherhood, because in some of our chats, when I would be teaching my followers, there would be aliens that would show up and would complain, because there's rules and there's ethics, how much you can say to humans. If you're from another planet, you can't come in and educate humans. The humans have to figure it out themselves. So I'm a human, right? I went through the reincarnation cycle. Okay. But I would be giving information, which is why we have so many people with superpowers in my following. That was information that the general public doesn't have. So it's really funny. I would look over here and I would see like a tribunal of these tall beings, and there'd be somebody lower down be a tribunal, like you'd have to look up at the judges, the Great White Brotherhood, whatever. And there'd be an alien there complaining about me, about I'm breaking the rules. I'm being unethical because I'm sharing information that human beings are not supposed to have. And then every single time the tribunal would say, she's not doing anything she's not supposed to do. Now, why is it if I was an alien, which actually let me fix that statement. If I had not come into this planet, because all of us are from someplace else, wrap your head around that, and then start with the next stuff. Don't take too long with that. If I had not come into the reincarnational cycle, which means I came in and I had to go through many lifetimes and get beaten up and then beat up people because we're on both sides. Be male, be female, be a kid, whatever, all these cycles. Then I earn the right to say that I'm a human being. If I don't go through that cycle, I do not have the right to say I'm a human being, which is fine. But then I cannot function fully on the physical dimension because of ethics. So, anyway, that happened several times. The first time it was kind of like, what is going on? And then afterwards it got funny because these aliens kept complaining about me. Now, you could say you're making up that story. Oh, yeah. Why would I make up that story if I have so many fascinating things to tell you? Why would I make that up? I'm not. But if your instincts are not honed enough to look at me and go, I don't think she's saying a story. I don't believe it, but I don't think she, at least I kind of maybe she's not saying a story. Your instincts should be able to tell you. What cannot control you is your information. You can't go, that doesn't fit into my paradigm. That doesn't fit into my information, what I have on file, because you do not have the information. It's been hidden from you. And I am part of the process of revealing it, unraveling it, trying to explain it, trying to help get information about us humans so that we can kind of be ready for this mixing of worlds. The movie series Star Wars, I don't know what happened after Disney got it. I wouldn't trust Disney as far as I can throw the Empire State Building. So I'm talking before Disney. Maybe they continued a good tradition. But that movie was to get us ready. That bar scene with all these weird looking beings together, having a drink, talking, you should get a photograph of that, print it up, and put it up. Get used to seeing weird shaped beings because it's not just them that can do it, I can do it. And I'm a human being. I classify as a human being. When I've met aliens, they're not sure where I was from originally, but I classify as a human being. I went through the cycle, whatever. But all human beings have the ability to shapeshift. What does that mean? I look like this, right? Well, what did I just show you? I showed you envelopes of consciousness, an assemblage of bodies that all human beings have. Okay? And this gold body, which is your spirit and it's your astral body, has the ability to duplicate itself many times. Psychiatrists call it multiple personalities, the Mayans call it subpersonalities, but then that body has another ability, which is no, not that body. Your consciousness, which is a liquid nectar called amrit, can go into anything. It can go into, I don't have the statue here, a wooden statue from a burial site from 2,000 years ago in Peru. Your body can go into that. I have a statue that has a spirit attached to that, but you could actually change yourself to look like that body and walk around. It's called shape shifting. It's an old concept. It's an old reality on planet Earth. And they say the witches turn themselves into a cat, then they can go visit their enemies. Isn't that interesting? Part of magic? Yeah, I'm here to help teach you white magic. I learned so much witnessing through remote viewing, black magic. They know, those black magicians know how to create reality. They know stuff that we should be taught in grade school, kindergarten. But the intention behind it is what makes it black magic rather than white. Anyway, I've basically talked beyond what I should be talking, but I'm going to put up the sketch again. I saw this at 11 this morning. I wasn't looking, I was doing something else. We need to celebrate this. And why did I put Trump won? Actually, I needed to have extended that statement to Trump won in the United States and in the galaxy. That support is incredible. Remember what I just said a minute ago. We were told in 2018 that if Venezuela, that whatever process Venezuela was going to go through would be the process that the rest of the world was going to go through. Venezuela has been in a pretty elegant process of a changeover from a dictatorship to a duly elected president and vice president. So please, no, don't mess up with that process. Having to and somebody find an excuse to invade, because basically we'll be screwing the whole planet. That process has to be supported. Apparently, it sets a pattern. I'm actually going to ask the dolphins for a little statement on that. It needs to be supported because that's our path. But I think with what happened yesterday and then this spaceship over the United States this morning at 11, I think it is a done deal or almost a done deal. Now, the future's elastic plastic, things can change from 1 minute to the next, but I think you can feel the frequency shift. You can feel the joy. Now, Trump, Elon, do me a favor, make sure you get enough rest. Both of you pay attention to who's making your food. There's too much coming out having to do with people getting poisoned with food. And I'm not talking about additives, I'm talking about magic. You mean, you know how the kings and queens used to have people that would have to eat their food before they touched it, and the person didn't die, then they would go ahead and eat it. I'm sure we can find another way. There's ways of purifying through magic, white magic, whatever. But pay attention to that. I think I'm probably saying this for a reason. It's a psychic hit. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to not getting too tired, because when you get too tired, it undermines your ability to vitalize your intentions. I'm a happy camper. So, I'm trying to figure out what mantra to do. We're going to go ahead and put on the Fox Sensory Therapy video, which has frequencies that are for your teeth. They, according to science, they can repair your teeth. And they're also for rooting and grounding. And if you're rooted and grounded, which happened to the United States today, according to the Lord's Prayer, original Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, you don't have to worry about being invaded by evil. The Lord's Prayer that we've been taught, I'm not going to say it was a conspiracy by humans, but it was definitely a conspiracy by ETs, so that humans would follow their adored Jesus Christ, who I adore also. He's a shaman, he's great. So that human beings that adore Jesus would not have this basic information, that you do not need protection. What you need is to be, if you're on planet Earth, grounded and landed. That's what it says in the Aramaic original version of the Lord's Prayer. So let's put the video on that has to do with grounding, landing, repairing your teeth, and let's do the hate mantra. The hate purification mantra. Even, where are you at from 1 to 10 in terms of how you feel? This is the mantra. You repeat it in silence and you expel the breath through your mouth. Okay? And we're going to do 5 minutes because I'm running a little bit over because I'm overexcited, overenthusiastic. Here we go. 5 minutes. Okay. So let's get you updated with gossip. I still don't have federal mail. Who do I contact? Until after Trump gets in? Local authorities aren't doing anything about it. It's actually the local authorities that are diverting my mail. I told you, Miami is like the wild, wild west. Politically, wild, wild west. Bullies. We're not talking just money. We're talking politics. Pay attention. My handler, still around. Physically, still around. And in terms of his spirit, is still able to get to me. I'll get it figured out. But I have to say that I deeply, deeply resent the people that are allowing this to happen. And one day, those people may need me. And they might be a little bit sorry about my attitude. So get with the program, which is working together, not controlling people. This particular person, my handler, has a boss. That boss is not just dangerous to me, he's dangerous to this country. He's also dangerous to the evolution of the planet because this country is the one with all the power. Venezuela may be the richest country in the world, and it may be the leader spiritually having to do with this new age we're going into, but the power is held by the United States. So somebody or many people need to get together and find this guy that is not letting me go, because believe me, I'm not the only one in this position. I can't talk for them. We can't talk to each other. We're not allowed. Get it taken care of because it's going to become my problem, is going to become your problem. In the 90s, when I started going to therapy and I started to work on the trauma that I went through having to do with being in this program, I remember working with somebody who was listening to my story. Oh, so sweet, listening to my story. Not sure she really believed me. And I remember I was crying and I said, you know what? What's happening to me today is going to happen to your children. And that is exactly what is happening. So the me is not about me. The me is about a system that has been allowed to operate and that is still operating. It is not gone. It has to do with the other dimensions. It has to do with spirits. It has to do with off planet. Honestly, you want the people that know how to deal with off planet, which are a lot of the people that were in that program. You want them on your side. You don't want the bad guys still controlling them. So get this taken care of. I'm not sure exactly who I'm talking to. Get this taken care of. I'm fed up. Thank you for listening. I'm Francis Fox. I'm fed up, but I'm super happy about what's going on in the United States. I like it. The Galactic Federation does not waste time. Interesting point. The Star Wars movie, all those battles between the different groups were all about natural resources on different planets. Venezuela, Peru, Ecuador, they become very valuable to off planet. They already are. Interesting stories there. We'll talk about that another day. Thank you for listening. Bye.